Welcome, I'm attorney Thomas Burton, and today I want to talk about the new charitable tax deduction that was part of the CARES Act legislation passed in the spring of 2020. Now, this deduction saw some press when the CARES Act was passed, but I think it got skipped over a little bit by the fact that we were focusing, many people were talking about the stimulus payments and the Paycheck Protection Program Act. So I'm filming this video at the end of 2020. You have until December 31st, 2020 to make this charitable deduction. So if you're watching this in 2020, this is the notice from the IRS. They put out another one in November. And what it does, it allows taxpayers, even if you don't itemize, to take a charitable deduction of up to $300 for cash contributions made in 2020. So if you're watching this before the end of 2020, as long as you make it by December 31, 2020, it will count. And if you're watching this in 2021, getting ready to file your taxes, look at any charitable contributions you already made in 2020 to see if they count. So the great thing about this was the traditional rule in tax law is that you can't deduct charitable contributions unless you itemize. And after the tax reform in 2017, less taxpayers itemized because the standard deduction for a single individual for 2020 is now $12,400, and for married filing jointly, it's $24,800. So a lot of people choose not to itemize and just take the standard deduction. And so if they did make charitable contributions, those weren't deductible if you don't itemize. But this is different. This year, you can deduct up to $300. And IRS says here, previously, charitable contributions could only be deducted if taxpayers itemize their deductions. However, taxpayers who don't itemize deductions may take a charitable deduction of up to $300 for cash contributions made in 2020 to qualifying organizations. For the purpose of this deduction, qualifying organizations are those that are religious, charitable, educational, scientific, or literary in purpose. The law changed in this area due to the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, the CARES Act for short. The CARES Act also temporarily suspends limits on charitable contributions and temporarily increases limits on contributions of food inventory. More details available on irs.gov. So the key is the IRS recommends you look at their tax-exempt organization search to make sure that the organization you're deducting to qualifies. And they have a tool on their website. I'll put a link to this notice in this video if you want to do a search there. But generally, I would recommend you want it to be a 501c3. And if it meets the religious, charitable, educational, scientific, or literary purpose, it's going to qualify. And just remember, it must be cash, or it can't be like donating clothing or used items or something where you get a receipt. It has to be a cash for this donation. There's another notice here from the IRS, just high level, special $300 tax deduction, even if they don't itemize. And it's an above the line deduction of up to $300 for cash donations made to charity during 2020. What this means is the deduction lowers both adjusted gross income and taxable income, translating into tax savings for those who make donations to qualifying tax-exempt organizations. And here it is. Before making a donation, IRS recommends you check the special tax-exempt organization search tool on irs.gov so you can use that tool. But if it's a recognized charitable entity, it should qualify for this. Make sure you keep receipts of your deduction. And the IRS clarifies here, cash donations include those made by check, credit card, or debit card. They don't include securities, household items, or other property. Though cash contributions to most charitable organizations qualify, some do not. Check the tax publication 526 and the tax exempt organization search tool on irs.gov. So if you're contemplating, again, if you're watching this in 2020, it's a great reason to be charitable at the end of the year. Check that organization you're thinking about with the tool before you contribute. If you've already made contributions in 2020, for example, to your church or religious institution or other nonprofit, run it through that search tool and see if it qualifies. And then when you're filing taxes in the spring of 2021 for 2020, you can take that above the line deduction. Now, one last note, there's talk about the new legislation possibly doubling it to $600 for married couples for 2021. The way I read it, the IRS instructions currently say it's $300. The instructions for Form 1040 for 2020, and that's $300. They say it's don't enter more than $300 for a married couple either. So currently it looks like it's $300 whether you're an individual or a married couple. But I know Congress has talked about changing it, and I believe that would be for 2021. But check your tax forms when you get there in the spring and the instructions, as if anything changes, it would get clarified before filing. But for sure, $300 you can deduct. So it's another great reason to get out there and be charitable at the end of the year. So thanks for watching. If this video was helpful to you, consider giving it a like and subscribing to our channel so more people can see these videos and benefit from them as well. Thanks for tuning all this year. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.